Hi everybody, I'm back. If you don't know me, my name is Lorenzo. I'm an author and illustrator. I'm living in Ireland, but I'm actually from Portugal. I've been in Ireland for 15 years, since 2009, and I work in animation for many years, and nowadays I work as an author and illustrator full-time or part-time, as you can tell, because or if you've seen my other videos, because my studio is actually quite different. If you look behind me, there's actually a changing table. That means we have a second baby. So the last time I actually recorded this video,
This book, Walkies.
I was actually pregnant with my second baby, even though I had no idea yet. Even though we were planning, it was planned. We didn't know we were pregnant. So I actually only work a few hours per day. But I could say I'm full on my job hours. I'm actually full-time author and illustrator. And that could be 3 hours, 4 hours, could be half an hour, depending on who's sick and if anybody's out, I'm out, or the girls are out, or anyways. I would like to show you the book. So I'm very proud of this little pack. I illustrated so far 13 books, and actually a few of them are self-published, so I've done it without a publisher. I just done it myself, and it was part of a personal project, and that's actually what I'm going to talk about today, because I had a poll on Instagram after a year and a half of not being on YouTube, and I asked people what would they actually like to see, if they would like to see me back on YouTube. Would they like to see me talk about how do I juggle being a mom of two and working as an author and illustrator? Would they like to see my top 10 podcasts on writing and Illustrator? Because I am absolutely addict. Every time I find podcasts or YouTube channels, I just eat them, devour them. I just love them. And I love to be working and listening to other people's careers and what everybody's doing and how did they get to where they are today. And then my other was, what have I done on the last year and a half? Because there was a good reason for me to leave YouTube. I was actually quite sick with my pregnancy. This pregnancy was way harder, and I had a lot of work to do that I wanted to get done, because I'm always afraid that the baby's going to be born early. So I just tried to work, and I tried to focus on getting everything done before this baby was born in the summer of 2024. But now that I'm back, because I've just finished a big project yesterday, so I kind of just wanted to go back a little bit on YouTube, do something a bit different. One of the ideas that I had to do today, to record today, and that people liked to watch, was how personal projects actually changed my career and got me into the job that I have today, which is an absolute dream job. Even though when I work in animation, I thought that was really my dream job. Illustration as an author and illustrator is an absolute dream, not just in what I do every day, but actually in my work-life balance. And I think this is the best job I could have had with 2 kids in the house. They're not in the house 24/7. Well, actually the baby still is. She won't be soon enough, and I can go about that on another video. But I need to only work about 3 hours a day, 3 to 4 hours here and there. So my oldest is in creche for 6 hours a day. I'm with them in the mornings, and then my little baby has a minder that comes into the house at the moment for 3 hours, so I can just focus and do things like this. At the moment, she's actually just asleep. I just got a text from the minder. So anyways, I wanted to get in today how I think personal projects are really important. I'm sure that if you were in art school, or even in your current art job, if you have an art job, you've heard that personal projects are very important. And I'm absolutely advocating to, or asking you to do personal projects if you want to get a dream job. I've heard before that you don't have to wait for somebody to ask you to do something. You don't have to wait for a publisher to hire you. You don't have to wait for an animation job to hire you. You can just do it. Just do it and then show it to the world. And I think that was the big change for me, was that I work really hard and I show it to the world, because there was no point working really hard and just put it in a drawer. Nobody would ever see it. So I would like to talk about it to you, exactly what projects did I did, and how they actually changed my career. When I was very young, I loved to draw, and my mom still saved those drawings. I used to draw a lot of houses for some reason, not sure. And I love comics. I absolutely love comics, and I love picture books, but there was not really picture books as we have today. I was born in 1986, I'm quite old. I used to read a lot of comic strips, Calvin and Hobbes and Sid and some others that I have to go home in Portugal to actually see, the really old ones that I used to read. And my best friend at the time was a really good draftsman, so she actually started drawing, and I was like, oh Jesus, that's really nice. She draws really, really well. I'm gonna try to draw too. So we started writing and drawing comics together. I actually found those comics. It was about a horse. I remember I used to draw the male horse and she used to draw the female horse, and we used to write the stories together. It was a lot of fun. And that was actually the beginning of my first personal projects. Then if you move a few years forward, and the animation school is called a professional school. So half the day we have normal subjects. You take like geometry, history, Portuguese, English. We had lots of other subjects. And then on the other half was just animation. We had character design, we had production, how to do production in animation. We had light tables, and I had an absolute blast. I was there for 3 years. One of my best friends I met there, and our class was amazing. I really missed that class. It was completely crazy, but it was really nice. We drew a lot, and anyways, it was a great 3 years of my life. I had amazing teachers, and they were all working in animation. So we were learning what was actually happening in the industry. I was actually a very average student. My grades weren't really great in animation, but I really, really love animation. And I wanted to keep practicing at home so I could get better. So a teacher of mine told me, why don't you just do it at home? I mean, what do you have to lose? At the time, we used to animate on light tables. I didn't have that at home, and I thought it's huge, and it's very expensive, and you couldn't buy it in the shop. You couldn't just go to a shop and get one. So I had another class in Flash Macromedia. So now it's bought by Adobe, so it's called Animate. But at the time, I realized that I didn't just have to use what Flash was giving with symbols and all that very technical stuff. I could just actually draw frame by frame and use the onion skin, which was the light table. So I did a lot of experiments, and I uploaded them on DeviantArt. If anybody is still from those times, the DeviantArt times. It was great. I really experimented, and I started getting better. That's when I started doing animations that I really like. It wasn't just a walk cycle or just whatever. I actually started doing things with a little bit of story. This is like really short and really horrible looking animations, but it was making me getting more interested in actually animation, and that was making me do better work. And then I made my first film, which I love. And the reason why I made it was, well, I started just experimenting with this cat. And then one day my teacher, Armando Coelho, actually came to the class, and he had a really cool t-shirt, black t-shirt with a claquette. And I asked him, Jesus, how'd you get that t-shirt? That's really nice. And he says, well, for you to get that t-shirt, you actually have to make a movie, get into a festival, and you get a t-shirt. I was like, okay. Challenge accepted. So because I was experimenting with this cat, I said, look, I'll just do it like a 1 minute. It's very basic story, very basic animation, but I had so much fun. Uploaded to the festival, got the t-shirt, still have it. So that was, really good. And it was the first time my work was out there. So I think I was 18. And I had, for the first time, people talking to me, and people start knowing, okay, Strela done the movie with the cat. So the last year of our course, it was 3 years, we did a student film, and I used the same cat. We came up with the story together, put the music together, and the movie came out. It went to a lot of festivals, and, it was a lot of fun. We won a few awards, so things start moving. But I promised my parents that I wasn't going to go straight to animation as a job. So they told me, for you to go to this professional school, which at the time was not very well seen, because professional schools were for people that didn't want to go to college. My parents actually wanted me to go to college, and at least try to go to college. So they said, look, you go to this professional school. If you do a college degree in fine arts or whatever you want to do, just do a college degree, at least try it. And I said, okay, so the closest that I had, and in Lisbon, was the college that my brother was actually in, the College of Fine Arts in Lisbon. And there was no animation course. There wasn't any animation course in college at the time in Portugal. So I went to this fine arts college, where I met my best friends at the time. My best friends now, sorry. And I'm really, really grateful. I didn't really click with a few of the classes. It was a bit too academic for me, a bit too artsy, and I don't know. But still, I learned a lot, and it had some multimedia aspects in it, so I could put a bit of animation here and there. I never actually stopped doing animation while I was in college. Every time there was a project for us to do whatever we wanted, I always revert back to animation, because I thought, if I'm here for 3 years in this college and I don't do animation for 3 years, I might lose the skills that I've learned before. So I'm just going to continue either putting into the college projects or doing it outside. So because my movie was in the festivals, and because I was continuing to do some projects inside college, outside college, and I was posting them online on it was not on YouTube. I can't remember, Vimeo. It was Vimeo that I used to post, and we've had Facebook, but I know that people didn't find my work through Facebook. I think it was mainly through the festivals. But I started getting works in animation, so I got my first job in animation in Portugal, in Anima Nostra, and I've done lots of other personal projects in the middle of it. On my last year of college, because I landed a job in an animation studio as a freelancer, I asked, could I just do a bit of work while I was in college, and there was like a setup where you can be a working student. So they let you miss a few classes in college so you can continue doing it, whatever work you wanted to do. So that's what I've done. And so that gave me enough portfolio then to land a job in Ireland. So I actually sent my portfolio when I finished my college degree to lots and lots and lots of studios, maybe about, 30 plus studios in Europe. I was just really eager to go out and explore the world, and I just really wanted to work in a big animation studio. So the only studio that actually got back to me was Boulder Media in Ireland. And at the time, I was over the moon when I got the email. I'll never forget when I got that email from Rob Cullen. It just said, we're working in this show with this cat, it's a blue cat from Cartoon Network. And I was like, oh my God, from Cartoon Network? And he said, your portfolio fits the job, and maybe you should get in. And that actually ended up to be the Amazing World of Gumball. It was the first season. And that was amazing. I mean, it was an absolute dream job. I was absolutely over the moon. It was really hard to leave my country and my parents, because believe it or not, I'm actually a big home bird. Well, so this is some of the work that I've done for Boulder Media while I was there for 10 years.
Absolutely. I needed to remind the universe how evil and awesome I am.
Please, you don't want to kiss me? I taste like fish. Get back here.
Aw, looks like I got the Robo Meanie Miny Motron and you got nada. Sorry.
Oh, why so sad? You need to find your happy place. There is no happy place!
So while I was in Ireland, I was very young and it was great crack. I didn't know anybody, so I just wanted to meet people and work in this absolute dream studio, dream project. So for a long time, I just focused on working, having a good time, being young, you know, partying, sleeping, dancing, working. And I actually didn't draw for my own personal projects for a long time. And at some point, Boulder came up with an idea, which was the art blog. And that meant that we all had to draw one piece based on whatever theme. And that's when I went back drawing again. But I actually didn't really like my drawing, especially when I compared to my colleagues. They're actually very stiff, very lifeless. They didn't really have much appeal. I was getting really distraught. I was like, why is my animation work okay, but when I go back drawing pictures, why do all they look so unappealing? Especially when I was looking in comparing with my friends. And it wasn't, I wasn't envious. I mean, I wasn't jealous. It wasn't a bad comparing myself. It was a good. It was like, I need to get better. Like, so I actually started doing some online courses. So I did on Schoolism, I did on Chris Oatley Academy. I actually wrote to the Chris Oatley Academy that I was struggling with gesture drawing. And it's nice to see that email because it's nice to see that I actually was, it's nice to see back in time that I was actually looking to get better. So I've done a few courses on online schools like Schoolism. They had a really, really good gesture drawing class with Alex Boo. And that was the class that actually changed the way I used to draw, and my drawing started getting a lot better. Well, I think they start getting a little better. They start getting a bit more life, a bit more story. I never stopped drawing. I was always drawing and uploading online, and people start noticing, it's like, oh, you're actually doing nice drawings. I enjoy what you're doing. And then I was listening already to a lot of illustration podcasts. And one of the and YouTube channels, and I came across Jake Parker's YouTube channel where he talked about the Finish Not Perfect project, which absolutely changed. It really, I can actually say that changed my career to where I really wanted, to a really good direction. And what he means is, why don't you just actually don't just draw whatever. Actually do a project, and actually you don't need to. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be finished. And once you're finished, you actually learn something. And on the next time you do another project, don't just wait for it to get perfect. Just try to work the best you can, and that's going to be the best that you can do at that time. And then the more you do, the better you get. I don't know if this made any sense at all. I was already doing a few drawings of dogs and kids, and I was like, geez, I would love to do something with this. So I decided to follow Jake Parker's advice and actually do a little book with this. And actually, because I wanted to get into the children's book industry, I was starting to get a bit interested in, I had a few picture books at home, and I was like, I'm actually kind of getting interested. So I just finished the illustrations, drew a little text around it, and finished the book, which is here. You guys call My Friend. And I actually thought I need to get a client for this project, because I need somebody to actually be waiting for my work, if that makes any sense. So I actually contacted Autism Assistant Dogs Ireland, which is a charity that I love. They train dogs to help families that have kids, autistic kids. And we work with them on the Animation Art Show, which is another project which I can get into in another podcast. And I said, look, would you like me to make a book for you? And they were like, okay. well, the girl that actually I was talking to at the time, she actually knew me, so it wasn't that weird. She was like, "Are you sure you want to do just a book for us?" I was like, yeah, you don't need to pay me. I just need to give this book to somebody and actually have a client. And she's like, "Sure. And look, all the proceeds are yours. Just do whatever. I just need to actually have a client to actually give a project to and actually know I have to finish the project." So I just show you very quickly. I actually really like the illustration still. There's some, you can see much. And the text is very sparse and yeah, it's kind of a poem. Oops. And then at the end, it kind of explains a bit more what the charity does. And yeah, I really like this project. Anyways, that was my first finished project. And I could actually say I finished a book. I actually finished a book. And then I continued to draw and just upload it on Instagram. That's when I started getting my Instagram account and I started posting online. And I started looking at, I was listening to a lot of illustration podcasts, like I said, and a lot of people say that they used to hashtag with kidlit art or kidlit illustration or children's book illustration on all their posts. And that's sometimes how art directors would find their work.
That's interesting.
I started posting images and I started hashtagging until one of my pictures was found by an art director at Albert Whitman and Company. And they said, "Oh, you know, your style is a bit Disney style." And I actually didn't like that the way my style would describe that time, but it was. She was right. And she said, "Look, we have a few books that we would like somebody to illustrate. Our illustrator is not doing the last two books in the series. Would you like to do it?" And that's when these two came about, the Elixir Fixers. I don't know if that's the way you say it, because I actually never heard anybody saying it. But they're all like black and white. Oops, see if I can, no, this way. No, maybe I'll post it a few on the actual video instead of showing it like this. It was a lot of fun. It was really, really hard work. I didn't have an agent, so I didn't get the best deal, to be very honest. But I really learned a lot. The art director was freelanced, hired by the publishing house as well, and she was brilliant. I learned a lot. I learned to actually stick to a deadline and to read notes, and I learned a lot from those two. And that art director would have never found me if I hadn't been posting my art and my personal little projects online. So that was the first gig that I got. And then I built my webpage because, again, I kept listening to podcasts and I kept hearing people saying you need to build your own website. You can't just have social media. You need to put your portfolio in a place that is nice and clean and it shows exactly who you are, what you want to work on. And I want to be a children's book author and illustrator. But at the time, while all of this was happening, I moved from being an animator and then eventually I moved to storyboards. I was a revisionist for a long time and then I work in storyboards, which I love. It's great if you really want to get better at drawing and getting faster at drawing, because storyboards are done very quickly. The drawings are very rough. The directors want things quickly and you get a lot of notes. It's a really good crash course on storytelling and on drawing, because your drawings have to be clear. The storytelling has to be clear. A lot of the projects that I work with as a storyboard artist were comedy, which is my favorite topic. So yeah, I learned a lot. And then 2020 came. I still went traveling for a bit to Portugal. We went with some friends to Slovakia. It was a great year. And then March came and this happened. Came home. We all stayed at home. And I was still working in storyboard. And even though we don't live through COVID right now, COVID changed society quite a lot. I still wanted to work in the children's book illustrator, so the personal projects still continue. So I was not going to wait to be called for more projects, even though I wanted to work on more books. I just had to continue working on my favorite things. So I drew the challenge, or I developed the challenge Draw for Quarantine. and not many people actually cared, but I cared. So every day I would draw something of actions that I think people would like to do during quarantine. So read more, go cycling, do yoga, sing aloud, walk a bit, learn to knit, do a puzzle. I mean, we had so much free time at the time, and I didn't have kids at the time, so I had a lot of free time, and you don't realize until you don't have it anymore. And I kept posting online with the same hashtags, everything, until in that exact month that I was already, I think it was the same month we went home, it's still in March 2020, I received this email from my agent. Well, now my agent, sorry, at the time I didn't know it was going to be my agent. And he said he'd seen this image, and because he was looking on the hashtag Kidlit Art, and he saw that I already had a few books, and that I had a website that I looked. So it looked like I was somebody that actually wanted to be in this industry. So all the little pieces start coming together, and actually it was working. First of all, I actually thought it was a scam because I thought this is way too good. I went to research James McGowan from Bookends Literary Agent, and I was like, oh my god. I look at the YouTube channel, which they have, and if you ever want to know more about how agencies work, they have tons of questions and answers. Anyways, I thought it was a scam. I just talked to my partner, and he said, well, just email, just see what happens. So I emailed back, and we arranged the call, and I was so happy. We signed up, and I had to rework my website again, but I was just so happy that actually my personal projects were actually starting to work for me. So when me and James started working together, I got my first project, which I was just over the moon. How the hell did I get it? So that was Counting to Bananas, written by Carrie Tillotson. I'm so sorry, Carrie, if I ever mispronounce your name. I hate mispronouncing people's names. But that's the first book that I work with. I was still in animation, still in storyboard, so I was working in the evenings because I really, really, really wanted to continue working on this kind of projects. It was just so much fun, and it was so much freedom. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the team at Penguin Random House was just like, have fun, and they really let me have a lot of fun with this book. I mean, the text was already amazing, so it was amazing that I could actually just push it a bit more with visual gags, and I absolutely love it. And then in 2021, because me and my partner while I was working from home, my partner was actually half working from home, half going to school because he's actually working in the school. We said, why don't we actually try to have a kid? Finally, I think maybe this will work because I'm not going to the city all the time. And anyways, we became pregnant in 2021, so I actually have a video about it if you ever want to see it. But when she was born, I had my maternity leave, and then I decided, actually, do you know what? I don't think I want to go back to a 9-to-5 job. I think I actually really enjoy being a mother and being present to my kid. And I actually really enjoy doing books. So why don't I actually just do what I really want to do, is actually become a children's book writer and illustrator full-time, even though that could be just a few hours a day, which was just 3 to 4 hours a day. That was really scary, but at the same time was not, because I thought I had a really good excuse. It's like, I want to be with my kids. So, and I start writings because James asked me, do you actually have any stories you want to write? And I was like, oh my God, I actually never thought about that. Yeah, that'll be amazing. Maybe I have. We had a few ideas. James kind of looked through and says, okay, maybe this one not so good, this one okay, and then we start working on a book about a raccoon that actually never sold. But I got lots of rejections from that first project, which is really normal in the industry. But then finally, I wrote my first book, and that's Wonkies, and that's based on my dog Chewy, who's here behind me sleeping, if you've seen my videos. Well, I mean, it was inspired, it's not based on him. And he actually got sold a few months just before my first daughter was born. So I'm quite proud of this book. Yeah. Especially this spread, I really like it. I'll show you close. There you go. I forgot to say, actually, in 2020, I illustrated another book just before, I was in the middle of illustrating this book when James contacted me. It's this one. It's called A Letter from Alejandra, which is where I'm from, and it's about this heron who finds a letter. My mom wrote this book and I illustrated it. I love this book so much. So it's just a love letter to my town, really. The heron needs to find out who sent the letter. So she goes through all the different places that are important in my town to then find that there was another heron who sent the letter to her. And they get together, they find each other, and they get babies together. Of course, my brother designed this book, my mom wrote, and I illustrated. It was just really great experience. Again, another personal project that I'm really proud of. And then the last personal project that I've done now, besides another ones that I'm going to be talking, which became from personal projects to actually become my job, was this one, which I made. Even though you're seeing inverse, there's a Portuguese version as well, which I made it as a little Christmas present for my family and friends last year, even though I was very sick from my pregnancy, and that's why I don't love the colors very much. But it's called One Elf, 10 Problems, a counting Christmas story. It's Welcome to the North Pole. It's like a little counting story. It was because of a course that I did with Julia Donaldson with BBC Maestro. I don't know if you guys are aware. And she mentions about a counting book and how it's nice to have a story about a counting book. So this is about an elf that causes a lot of trouble in Santa's workshop. We count until up to 10, and then from 10 we go back to 9, 8, and it's him kind of, making amends with all the other elves until, spoiler alert, they're all together for Christmas and Santa's there. Happy Christmas, yay! The last personal project I would like to talk about, even though I can't really show much yet, it's about an illustration that I've done for my daughter's bedroom. It's the seasons of so spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And I did this little bunny around the tree, so the tree changes depending on the seasons. And I made some characters around it. When she was born, we had lots and lots of board books around the house. I started getting more and more in love with board books, and I said, wow, geez, I would love to have a series of board books because that would be a dream. And I always liked this character, so I said, why not just try to do a book around it? I showed it to my agent. He really liked it. We worked together on it. And it was sold. I was so happy. It's now with Source Books, and I just finished yesterday the final art for the second book, and I did the storyboard for the third book. But I'm having a lot of fun. So that's another personal project that was just like, I felt a bit guilty because I had other work to do, but it's like, why don't I just do a bit of this on the side and see what happens? And look, now it's a 4-book deal. So there you go. I mean, if you keep doing what you're passionate about as a personal project, that's going to show through when you're trying to show it to other people. And if you are in the kidlit industry and you want to sell it, in my case, because it would be nice, it's just nice for distribution to actually be able to pay my bills. Personal projects can actually make you work on something that you really love, and that's what's happening right now. So this is why I think it's a good idea to have personal projects always on the side. I still have a lot of personal projects on the side. Now a little bit with less time, of course, because now I have two girls. So I have to work on my projects that I have under contract, and which I love, I'm not complaining. But then I always try to write on the side and then try to show it to my agent and see what you think, James. And James sometimes is like, maybe yes, maybe no. We try to discuss which direction is better for the market at the time, or if he thinks it's a good idea. And who knows? I mean, I would like to at some point get into comics or to early readers or to other parts of the kidlit industry that I haven't explored. So yeah, I hope you like this video. I think maybe it's a bit long, but I hope you like it. I think this is finally my comeback, and I hope I can film a few more. Bye!